Good evening, Goffstown, and welcome to the girls' Goffstown basketball varsity. Boy, it's a lot of words there.
A preseason show.
Preseason show. And I'm Bob Bartolucci. This is Rob Foreman. We're back for another exciting season of girls' basketball here at Goffstown High School. What do you think there, Rob? We saw the first practice.
Yeah, we got a chance to watch some practice tonight, and we'll have a chance to talk to players and coach tonight.
That's right.
It'll be fun. And
the first player we're having on tonight for a talk is a returning veteran, our sophomore player, Reese Still. So Reese, thanks for joining us in our pregame show.
Of course. Yeah.
Welcome on. So last year, freshman year, obviously your first year playing for this team. How do you see your role as being different this year?
I feel like my role this year is a lot bigger than it was last year. I feel like I have more responsibility this year as a big because we lost both of our starters last year as bigs. So I feel like I can hopefully fill that position just as good.
Okay.
What kind of stuff did you guys work on in the off season? So summertime and then early fall, what were you guys working on?
We did a lot of shooting, and then for open gyms, we did dribbling. We ran some plays, some screens. We didn't do much defensive work like we're doing now. And I'd say in the off season, it's a lot of games and stuff like summer league and fall league.
That's good. Now, this year is going to be a little different for you because you're also playing with your sister. So
yes.
We'll pulled her out of retirement. And So tell me a little about what we should expect to see from that dynamic and with your sister playing.
A very good duo, hopefully. Dana used to play with Meredith a lot, so they'll have really good chemistry together. She's not the best shooter as she's had 2 seasons off, but she has a lot of hustle and she rebounds really well and she tries her hardest.
So do you look at it as you're going to take her under your wing or what?
Yeah, pretty much.
There you go. You know, I noticed even during practice that she's very athletic.
Yes.
And then I also noticed how you were shifting into that big, mentality position on defense, having to probably guard one of the taller players on the other team, where that wasn't your natural position last year. So tell us maybe 1 or 2 things that you hope to achieve as a goal for you this season.
I hope that I can take as many charges as possible as a big, because those are really hard to get called for you.
Yeah.
And it feels good when you get the call because you do it correctly. And then I also hope that as a big, that we can run a lot of plays through me and that I can execute the plays well and just run them correctly.
Mm-hmm. Well, judging from the practice and the sort of scrimmage here we saw tonight, I think it should run through pretty well. So you look like you were holding your own out there. So what do you look at as being like one of the strengths and maybe one of the weaknesses of this team coming into this season now? It's a different chemistry than last year.
Yes, one of the weaknesses would definitely be our chemistry, I would say, because a lot of us haven't played together, and there's a couple new players, a couple new swings, and that's like difficult to just be being thrown into the season with all these new players and just saying like, oh, just like you guys have to work together. Like this is your new team for the next season. And then I would say one of our strengths is definitely our hustle. We hustle a lot through every drill, and I say we try our hardest.
Yeah, I would say the one thing I noticed between even the last 2 seasons, this practice the pace moved quickly. It was a lot of positive communication between the players. And I think communicating both offensively and defensively. So is that something you guys are focusing on for the season?
Yes, talking is one of like a really big component of our defense and offense. I'd say it's like our 6th player on the court, possibly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All in all, I was kind of looking. I mean, would you say you're probably a little shorter this year than last year, or?
Like height-wise?
Yeah.
Yes, we are definitely shorter this year. We've lost. I'd say I'm probably Catherine's definitely the tallest. Yeah.
Catherine's taller.
But
and Mare, I think, is taller.
Mare's pretty tall too. But last year we had like consistently tall people, which is difficult with going into a sport that like your height is a very big component.
So how's that going to change you guys as far as the tempo or the offense of this team?
We're just going to work harder, I guess, box out, use more muscle and just be quicker.
So you had a chance to play under Coach Largy, and Bracy comes in this year as the varsity coach, although he's not a stranger to the program. But are there some things that you've already seen that are a little bit different moving forward?
Yeah, our defense is definitely way different in a positive way. The plays we run are quite similar, but I'd say it's basically like it's really similar to how practice was run last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought the pace was good in
Yeah.
the practice we just saw. God knows I was tired watching you guys again. But that's not saying a lot,
doesn't say
but you know. I thought the drills looked pretty good. What did you work on the most in the summer, just for yourself, for your own game?
For myself, I definitely worked on getting back quicker, whether it was defense or offense. I like when people get the rebound, I like to sprint down the court so that I'm open for them for like a wide open layup or something like that. And then defensively, I definitely worked on like being quicker and staying on my man, and then using my voice when I need a switch or if I needed to stay.
Yeah.
So we know we watched you last season. We saw some practice tonight. Tell us a little bit more about Reese. What is she like? What's your favorite subject in school? What do you like to do in your free time?
That's difficult. My favorite subject in
the hardest time.
Yeah, I know.
my favorite subject in school, I'd probably say like I like math because there's only like one solution, and I think it's like if you follow the steps, like you're gonna get the answer no matter what. And then what I do outside of school, my homework, and sometimes, I read sometimes. I like to hang out with my best friend Addie.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Well,
Yeah.
see,
They always have a hard time talking about themselves.
Well, they
I
do.
know.
Yeah, she even blushes a little, but that's
know.
good. All right, so this is Reese. If you want to see more of her, obviously tune in to Goffstown girls basketball. I should have brought the schedule. The first game is December 13th. I know you're on the road the first two.
Yeah.
And I forget when the first
So
game
we're
is
home
at
on the 20th.
They're
Yeah.
home on the 20th. First home game is the 20th. So welcome to the Grizzly Den. As you could tell this year, our theme is space. So it's up to Rob and I to come up with more space-themed things to say. So appearing with you from the galaxy far, far away, we'll be back with our second interview in one moment. And welcome back, Goffstown and basketball fans. And we're back here today with Meredith Winterburn,
A familiar face.
a familiar face, a seasoned veteran. Senior year.
Yeah,
It feels like just yesterday you were a freshman.
I know.
Now
I
you're
know.
a senior.
I know.
So let me ask you, we've evolved, and you went from your freshman year all the way through playing with your sister, then playing without her last year. Now you're a senior, obviously one of the leaders on the team. How do you see your sort of progression is for this year? What do you look at as your biggest responsibility?
Well, like you guys were talking about, been here for a while, had to assume a lot of different roles since I've been a freshman, and this year I've just come to like the head of the team, the role. Like I'm gonna be needed a lot all around the floor, offense, defense, rebounding, all of that. Off the floor, I'm gonna need to be a captain, need to be a really good captain, lifting my team up. Times are gonna be hard sometimes, like we know that. We're coming into the season knowing there's gonna be a lot of struggles. Gotta get over them, gotta help the team do that. So very excited for that.
Good. We got a chance to see practice tonight. We liked the pace of it. It was a
Yeah.
good pace, a lot of positive feedback, a lot of talk, communication. Obviously, the communication is a big piece. Why is that so important for you guys?
Well, you guys know I like to talk a lot, so for me, I really like it. But it's just really important so that everyone knows what's kind of going on because, again, we have a lot of new varsity players this year. We have a lot of varsity players that aren't coming from huge roles last year, and they just need to know what's going on at all times, kind of know what we're doing in the drills, and that translates to what we're going to need to know what we're doing in the game, too. So it's very important.
Right. Now, from a leadership standpoint, coming into this team, for years, one thing, Rob and I watching this team, what we were always amazed at is kind of the closeness and the camaraderie
Yeah.
of the girls were always really tight on and off the court. How do you look at your role being different this year? How do you foster more of that off the court because there are so many new
Right.
people now.
Yeah, like you're saying, tons of new people. I mean, in the past, I've been playing with people that I've been playing with since I was in 3rd grade. My own sister, like all of the Avas, Maggie, Penny, Ella, all of them. I've been playing with Peyton for a while. She's coming back as senior. But a lot of new faces that I just have never had to play in season on a team with, but I've got to play with them in like the summer and fall leagues, and I'm just trying to be there as that shoulder that they can always come to me, they can always talk to me. But we're also at the same time, we're all equals, we're all on the same team, we're all working towards the same goal. So I just need to like kind of foster that sort of community, and then it'll help bring us a lot more close than we already are.
What kind of things did Meredith work on in the summertime and then fall leading up to preseason?
Yeah, so I had to shift my focus a lot because like I've been in kind of like that secondary role, like I'm not seen as the person that's going to score. I'm not seen as the person that's kind of doing everything, and now I have to transition into that. So I've tried to transition a lot more into like a floor general, trying to figure out where everyone needs to be, how they need to be there, what they need to be doing while they're there. But also at the same time, I'm working on how I can score, how I can rebound, and how I can be a top defender on my team and help beat the other teams. Like have to take a step further in every single role that I've already been doing. So
Right.
And I know it was only 90 minutes of practice what we saw, but I was very impressed. I think
Thank
you're off
you.
to a really good start.
Appreciate it.
I also said to Bob,
You commented.
I said
Yep.
her jump shot is back.
yes,
And I
really
noticed
hope
it.
so. I hope
noticed it right
stays.
away. No, your form is back. So
Yes, good.
it's where it was a couple years ago. It looked like it was just a little off last year. You looked very comfortable, confident, and the mechanics look good. So
Thank you.
we're off to a good start.
Appreciate it.
Well, let me ask you, along with that, I mean, do you look at yourself as you're going to have to be more of a scorer this year than even last year?
100%. Yeah.
Especially without Maggie now.
Right. I have to be able to score from all levels because you never know like what we're going to get from every team in terms of defense. So I need to be able to shoot, like you're saying. Like I've been working on my shot, but I also need to be able to slash. I need to be able to get to the basket. I need to be able to rebound. I need to be able to get putbacks, but I also need to be able to use my team to score because it's not always about myself, it's about the team. So I need to be able to find ways that I can get my teammates who might be better shooters or anything that I am and try to get them opportunities to take shots.
I know we've just finished tryouts really and gone into the practice season, scrimmages happening, games. But if you had to describe this team, how would you describe them?
I would say athletic. We're very, very athletic. You guys saw we're running. Like everything is fast. Everything's like we're moving quick. And I think that is like a lot due to the fact that we have true athletes on our team. And not that we haven't in the past, but in like this year is one of those years we're going to need to rely on that. And I think Coach Bracey knows that we're going to utilize our strengths. And I think our biggest strength is athleticism. So. Yeah.
That and speed. So
Yeah.
that-
Hand in hand.
That's part of it.
Right.
So I don't want to put all the pressure on you as far as scoring goes, although I do think you're going to be an integral piece of that. Who else do you look at as going to need to have a big season for us and kind of step up into that role where we can count on somebody else to do the scoring? Because I think there's going to be more by committee than there has been in the
I
past
agree,
few
yeah.
years. We had your sister, we had Maggie to lean on, and they didn't let us down. So who do you think would help you out?
Reese, Addie. We have a lot of young players, a lot of people that are assuming roles that normally older players have to assume. But yeah, Reese and Addie returning great scorers, honestly. And I'm going to be looking to them a lot. Jenna Shannon, she's a great shooter. She's going to be looked to be more of like a floor general rather than a scorer, but we're going to need to rely on her a lot too, as well. So our sophomores.
We asked Reese this question, we'll ask you as well. Give us a little glimpse about Meredith. What's your favorite subject in school? What do you like to do outside of school and basketball?
My favorite subject is biology.
Wow.
I'm going to hopefully major in that. I'm taking AP Bio right now. I really like it. That's what I want to major in college. Outside of school, I like to read, like nerd. I know it's kind of annoying. I also
It's good. Read.
I like
read.
to go to the gym. I like to spend a lot of time outside, like at the beach and stuff. So yeah, spent a lot of time with my friends lately. It's been really good. So
Well, I know, speaking for Rob and myself, been looking forward to the season.
too.
So it should be an exciting season. It starts December 13th on the road. The 20th, I
We're
guess,
at
is your
home.
first home
yeah,
game.
Salem.
Salem. So that should be an exciting night to see that.
Yeah.
So you can follow everything here on GTV. All the games will be live from Goffstown. Well, most of them will be live. But anyhow, so Meredith, thank you. Look forward to a great season.
good luck
And I'm
this
sure
season.
you'll
Thank
be a
you.
Rose at least
Yeah.
several times like you
right.
were last year. Hello, Goffstown. We're back. And this time we're here with a slightly different face, right? The new victim of Coach's Corner is going to be Coach Bracy.
You just said nothing about victim here. I was unaware.
Now,
Yes.
we wanted to make sure we got it live on TV. So, Coach, anyway, we talked to a couple of the girls, and now in talking to you, how do you feel this team? Obviously, you've been part of the coaching staff and here for years, so a lot of these girls you know pretty well. There are some new faces, but how do you see this team coming together or evolving into hopefully a cohesive unit for the season?
No, I like where we're at right now. Honestly, we're two practices in, 5 days in. I think we are really competitive with each other. Super athletic kids, get up and down the court well. I think we have things to work on still. I think we are going to be a different look than Goffstown teams have been in the past, just because of personnel things, right? But I'm excited about where we're going. I think we're going to see a more balanced offense a little bit, and I think defensively we're able to do some stuff that maybe we haven't done in the past.
Yeah, one of the things we said with both of the girls, we noticed the pace of practice, the positivity, the communication, all very intentional. But why is it important for them to be communicating at this level?
I think and kudos to them. They are doing a great job with this already. But the last thing we need to do, to get yourself to that next level, is just have that high level of communication on both sides of the ball, right? Defense doesn't work unless we know what's going on, right? So everybody's got to be willing to put that work in. And ideally, we got 5 on the court, and we got 9 on the bench that are also communicating the entire time, right? And then offensively, so important to know where we are on the court. Communications can be verbal, but also nonverbal too, right? We have to read each other well. And I think anytime early in the season when you've got a new group of kids working together, it's important to understand how we work. I think verbal starts, and then from there we can go to the nonverbal stuff.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of new faces.
Yeah,
And players coming back, but mostly a lot of new faces. Now, Goffstown, we've been lucky. I mean, to have 1,000-point scorers is rare.
Yeah.
And to have 3 in a row, back to back to back, when you go from Walsh to Winterburn
Right.
to Sasso.
That's 8 years of at least 1,000-point score on a team, right?
Correct. And somebody who you can almost count on all the time for that well-needed bucket. How do you see this team developing offensively, where you might think, or at least I do, there might be a weakness with this team going in?
I mean, so yeah, we're gonna have to find the points where we find them. I think though that the benefit of not having that 1,000-point score or 1,700-point score in Kelly Walsh's case is that all 5 on the court have to do a job, right? I think if you look back at some game film in the past, it's been a let's watch and see what happens, right? And we don't have the luxury. Don't have it. So all 5 have to be willing to do their work. Hopefully we can play more cohesively that way. But we'll see. I think we're going to have a lot of 3-man action stuff happening where we're going to have a lot of stuff going on with more than one kid on the court, and we got the right people, the ball at the right time. We should be getting some open looks out of that.
I don't want to steal your thunder, but I think the defense is going to create offense for us.
My hope.
And we saw some of it today, just intentionally how we're going to cover the floor and set screens and move through screens. What kind of wrinkle are we going to see defensively? Don't give us the secrets, but I mean, it's going to be more than a traditional man-to-man zone type of thing.
So I don't want to describe it as either man-to-man or zone. But it's gonna have roles of both, and we're gonna be intentional where we put the ball. Right, we want to put teams in their weakest spots.
Yep.
So everything we do, hopefully, is getting teams to be in a place where they're not comfortable. Right, and I think you heard me say, if we're doing our defense right, our offense won't be able to run. And ideally, if we're doing our defense right, the other team's offenses can't run.
Sure.
Ideally, what we're doing is creating a situation where offenses are going to take a bad shot in 5 or 6 seconds. Let's make you take the first bad shot you can take.
That's right.
And let's get going the other way.
Make you pay for it.
Yeah.
The thing about practice that I thought stood out, what I really noticed was was very quick. I mean, we have a lot of, seems like fast players. Particularly like Morgan stood out today with their speed, but really there weren't any pokers. I mean, they were all moving.
I mean,
pretty
yeah.
So do we look at that as being like one of the keys to this team? I mean, is speed going to be something?
I think anytime you have athletes that are fast, let's use them, right? Let's let the horses run a little bit. So I think that doesn't necessarily mean that we need to be full court up in people's faces the entire time. But I think sometimes if you're not full court, you actually have a better chance of getting those transition layups, right? Because now their offense is in, so their transition defense isn't ready to get back. But yeah, we're gonna move the ball as fast as we can.
I know, like Bob said, you've been with the program for a long time, so you're no stranger to the school, to the girls, to the program. And I think that, there's going to be a new identity with this team, with this program, because you're going to shape it the way you think is best. Giving a little nod to Largy as his assistant for years, are there a couple things that you have taken from him to implement with your current team?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, the basis of everything we do offensively is still really I think Steve and I morphed things over the last 8 years. It's little tweaks here and there, right? But the basis of that, it's going to be the same idea, right? We want to get paint touches and make the right pass out of that and hunting for open looks. So think ideally like Jay Wright men's basketball offense there. And then defensively, we're going to be a little different. We will. But I think Steve would approve.
We don't need his approval.
That's
but
right.
Good point.
We don't.
all of our trust and faith is in you now.
That's right. We have confidence.
That's right.
So let me ask you this. I know it's obviously early. You just sort of finished, tryouts, and you're only a couple practices in with really the varsity squad itself. What's impressed you so far? In other words, well, I guess specifically, are there any players that look like they seem to be rounding out to be better, that you're expecting sort of a bigger season from, or to really contribute more?
I think it's going to be, and we can add in the fact that I've seen them in the summer and the fall too, right? I think it's going to need to be a pretty big season for Meredith for us, right? I think that sophomore Reese is going to be better than ninth grade Reese, and I thought ninth grade Reese was really good. Yeah. So Reese is going to have to play a big role for us, and I think she's willing to take it. We'll see. She's going to have to like it or not, right?
She looked pretty confident in practice today.
Yeah.
So
I think that's been a bit of a
sign.
change. I think there's been times in the past where, especially when you have a Maggie Sass on the floor, right? Like, I don't want to get in her way.
Right.
And then I think Addie Glazier has really stepped up in the last 12 months in terms of basketball ability. She's grown so much. Peyton Duff in this offseason has impressed me too. She's a lot of improvement in skills. She still struggles with the fact that she's not as tall as most people. So,
Peyton, is it?
Yeah, no.
Really?
No. So, but she's got better footwork than she's had. She's shooting better. She's a good team player. Defensively, she's right there. Morgan is going to be Morgan. She's got that Energizer Bunny thing going on. And then I think getting a 12th grade Dana Still back. Freshman year, Dana played basketball. Sophomore and junior year, Dana played unified basketball, which is awesome. She was working with a great group of kids. It's awesome to have her back. She's just so athletic. So getting her in a role where she can help us out as that athlete that she is going to be huge.
What kind of things did you challenge the girls with during the summer and then the fall, in preparation for the season?
So summer, honestly, summer for a lot of us is like, let's get a couple games in a week, right? It's relatively relaxed. But we had good numbers. We had probably the best summer numbers we've had since Steve and I were here. And I don't know why that was. I don't want to complain about it, but it was curious, right? So I think in years past, we definitely had weeks where we struggled to make sure we had 5 kids on the floor. In fact, I think we played games with Memorial kids before. We've definitely had alumni help us out in the past. And that was never honestly, there were games early on where this is too many kids for a summer league game. We had Maggie Sasso and the Avas come back, and I had them guest coach a game. I was like, just give everybody playing time, because I don't want people to be mad at you guys. It was just awesome to see that many kids. And then, we did open gym, which was skill sessions once a week in the summer. So that was basically summer. It was kind of relaxed, right? But just let's remember that basketball's a thing, and let's make sure we can play together. Fall, We played in a super competitive fall league. So best teams in the state are in that league, and then us. I would not say we are at that level yet, but I think it was really good to have that competition every week. And all summer and fall, I told our girls that I don't really care what the scoreboard says. It's not about the scoreboard right now, right? Nobody's ever won a championship in July. Well, in basketball.
Right.
So it's not about that, it's about the growth process. And I think they bought into that idea, right? And then we've been in the weight room a lot too. I think it's so important to be as strong as possible, especially at the high school level. It makes a difference.
Yeah. Now, we asked Meredith about this, so just to try to get your insight on it. I mean, for many years, one thing that Rob and I think equally been impressed with is sort of the camaraderie the team has, like off the court, not just on it. But in many cases, it was girls who genuinely all liked each other, hung out together, and stuff like that. There are a lot of new faces, a lot of new people. How do you see that, or what do you see as your role to help foster that type of camaraderie?
Put them in the situations where that happens, right? As much as possible, make that happen. And that sometimes that might mean that I get to be the bad guy, right? I get to be the person that they have a common enemy at times.
He is planning.
But no, it's I think important that we spend a lot of time together anyways, right? So how do we get us to spend that time in the right way? We might have spent some time recently figuring out what we expect of each other and coming to a common agreement. We wrote ourselves a little declaration of, what do I call it? Declaration of, not dependence, dedication. Declaration of dedication for each other. So we've got ourselves a common bond right there, and we can hold each other to it. So really, like, what do we do on the court, in the classroom, in the weight room? How do we handle each other? How do we treat each other? Well, what are the important things that we think are there?
So you're a co-equal in that too.
Yes.
So your dedication is
100%.
going to be
We all signed it.
obviously
I'm on there too.
Okay.
We don't often talk enough about the staff. You have other coaches on the staff. What do they bring to the program? Give us a little highlight.
Yeah.
Who are they?
So Scott Brandon's returning as a varsity assistant. He's come back from the dark side. He was at BG for a while there. He's good friends with their former head coach. He brings an intensity to us, and he keeps everyone honest. He knows the game well, but he's able to keep everybody honest and kind of push people to their highest level, which is huge. And then Cass Lalumir is back. She's going to be our reserve coach, but more importantly, she's really our strength and conditioning coach. I think it's awesome to have a alumni of our program, high-level college athlete in basketball, who also happens to be a strength and conditioning coach on staff. Like, how that's a no-brainer. Like, let's keep her around as much as I can. She's really busy, but she's able and willing to give some of her time to us. So really, she helps us get stronger, and she helps our girls figure out what life is like for an athlete at that level too. And then our JV coach, moving to this role, is Marissa McLaughlin, who is our varsity girls lacrosse coach, and she also assisted football this past fall. She's a high-level athlete too. She played college lacrosse at SNU. So I love having a whole bunch of young women role models on our staff that our girls can look up to and start to figure out how to live life.
Good.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we're looking forward to an exciting season, so it's going to kick off on the 13th. I mean, do you know anything about any of these other teams yet? I mean, do you have a sense of what some of these teams are going to be like? Where we might fit in?
I think that it's Bedford's show. Let's go with that. Bedford should run the table again. They're really, really good. Their guard play is insane. I think that Pinkerton's going to also be really good. I think that BG is going to be way more improved than they were last year. That same group, just a year older and a year more together. I think Dover is going to be also really good. I think Salem's going to be really good. Keep going down this list.
So basically everybody?
Yeah.
I think Concord Christian, a new entry into Division I, their fourth division in 4 years, they're also going to be really competitive. I think their biggest issue might be a short bench. But those kids play together a lot. They know how to play. They're well coached. I think that we fit somewhere in a big middle. The middle is going to be really messy this year. Every close game is going to matter. So for us, it's going to come down to how do we perform on those close games that go either way, right? Are we locked in? Are we ready to do what we need to do to make sure that we're winning those games that are going to be super competitive?
We have to win the games we have to win.
Yes, yes.
In other words, if we know we got Bedford, we got to make sure we take care of business. We can't look ahead.
Correct. One game at a time. But it's a long season too, right? So,
Right.
but yeah, I think we'll be somewhere in that hunt in the middle. I don't want to make any predictions as to numbers, but we'll be there. We get a tough schedule to start with though. South, I think, is going to be improved, and they gave us a run last year.
And then you got Alvern after that.
Alvern, we know how that went, right? That's going to be a tough team. Salem, I already mentioned, they're going to be good.
Yeah, we were impressed with them last year.
Yeah.
They were very young.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly,
Yeah.
we're looking at 3 teams off the start of the schedule that are going to throw different defensive stuff at us, too. So we're going to have our wits about us right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? So it'll be interesting.
Well, and I think Meredith, kind of said it earlier that we know we're going to have challenges, and we're going to fight through those. We're going to learn, and I think as a coach, we're not going to be playoff ready day one, but if we improve every single day and every single week, and we get hot at the right time and start believing in one another, then all of a sudden that middle of the pack, you make some noise at the end of the season. Yeah.
Correct. The downside of that is also like with that middle of the pack being so tight. Any one of those games, if we're not performing, could be the difference between a better seed and a worse seed, right?
Sure.
And some of that seeding might make a big impact on runs that can be made.
Yeah.
But we're going to control what we can control. Stuff we can't. So
Right. It's about controlling emotions.
Yep.
Well, listen, we're looking forward to being with you all year and
season.
having you cornered at every
no.
home game.
I know.
Oh no,
So it'll be you. And,
might have to have an assistant come on.
and that's in that situation, you're going to be between us, not off to the side where you could run away.
Firing squad.
Again, from Coach Bracey, my colleague Rob Foreman, myself, Bob Bartolucci, we're signing off, and we look forward to the start of the season, December 20th, here live from the Grizzly Den.